It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion with Barbara Vercruysse.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I am so glad that you joined me this Thursday. I'll tell you, I am so excited to have this conversation, partly because everyone knows I love leadership, and I don't believe leadership is but influence and responsibility. But I met a lady a little while ago who has a heart for something that I think is so precious, and that's kindness. And so I thought, what better way to bring the Leadership Lunch Break than to talk about leadership through what Barbara calls powerful kindness. I want to introduce you to Barbara Vercruysse. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Leadership Lunch Break. I am so grateful to have you. And I want to just introduce you, to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and how you came up with this idea of powerful kindness.
Well, first of all, I am a business coach and I am a personal coach. Business coach, one of my biggest clients is BMW that I'm working with. And as a personal growth coach, mostly work with corporate leaders, with entrepreneurs, business owners, to really, when they are stuck somewhere in life, to get them unstuck, to move them, to see what it is within them that is holding them back. And at this moment, I am writing the book, The Path of Powerful Kindness. And you know this, Joy, 18 years ago, I was diagnosed with a stage 4 skin cancer. And I was told at the age of 32 that I had 6 more months to live, with 3 little children, 2 toddlers and a baby, married since 5 years. So you can imagine that was quite a shock.
Yes.
And I promised myself, because doctors never believed that I would get through it and I would recover. But I promised myself that if I would survive, that I was dedicated to leave a positive legacy.
Absolutely.
And since then, you know, I changed careers and I'm doing what I love most now, which is coaching people, making them see, you know, like that huge potential they have inside of them, and guide them, you know, like, because I went through so many experiences in life, whether it's personal, in business. I have been in business owner for more than 25 years. So I'm in a place that not only from my, you could say, certifications and all that I know and the books that I read, but really as a real life experience, I can guide people in a compassionate and kind way. And why my fascination or my passion for kindness? As a child, I was always told, Barbara, you are too kind for this world. You should get tougher.
Oh, goodness.
And I know that as a child, I was always wondering, but in what kind of world did I end up that I have to be less kind?
Absolutely.
What is this? You know, like,
Yes.
I could not, as a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old, I could not understand. And of course, you know, like, you have your adolescence, your 20s, where you're looking to fit in, you know, just doing what is expected from you. You go to college, you're married, you have a job.
Yes.
Until, fortunately for me, I had that crisis with the cancer. And in leaving a positive legacy, you could say the circle is round.
Yes.
I have found in all my years in business and in working now 5 years with BMW, where the standards are very, very high. It's all about striving for excellence, getting results. And I'm a very passionate and driven woman. But I have found, and that will be, you could say, the basis of the book, there is a kindness which is extremely powerful, where in your kindness, you are more powerful than the bully, than the one who is yelling.
Yes.
Because when you are faced, whether you are in your work situation, whether it's in your personal relationships, whether you're still at school or whatever situation, the moment someone starts getting rude to you, the moment someone starts getting aggressive, that is a reflection of that person.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you can detach from the
Mm-hmm.
words that that person is saying. Because in fact, even if he would be saying, like, Barbara, you did an awful job, like that report is just 0, like you should do better. And when, like, if we can leave the words with the
Mm-hmm.
person who is saying that, which is a reflection of his inner state, has nothing
Absolutely.
to do with you. You detach emotionally first,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe there is some validity in the message. Maybe there is, but it's the way how it's expressed. So, and you can stay calm and centered when you
Mm-hmm.
can do that. You stay out of the aggressive aggression. You
Yes.
stay out of, I was almost going to say the word in French. You stay out of the aggression. You stay calm and centered. Then you are the powerful one, not the one who is eaten away by his emotions, by the
Mm-hmm.
hatred, by, like the
Yes,
frustration.
absolutely.
That's the weak one.
Yes.
Does that mean that I'm judging that person? No, I'm compassionate.
Absolutely.
So even when someone is yelling and you say, I understand
Mm-hmm.
your frustration. That's what powerful kindness is, because you are the kind one. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not being a doormat. We're not talking about being a doormat here.
Absolutely.
Because I think there's a big difference between kind and nice.
Okay. What do you
There's
think is
people who,
that's good. What do you think is the difference between being
the,
kind and being nice?
nice is easy. Like,
Okay.
we're nice. We're nice. We open the door for an
Yes,
old
open
lady.
please and thank
Like when
yous.
it's,
Yes.
yes, the
Mm-hmm.
thank yous. But when you could say, when someone is not kind to you or not nice to you,
Mm-hmm.
and you can stay kind,
Yes.
because it's not about nice. Nice is, and I have been also too nice in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
have been too long a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
It took me until I think I was almost 45, like until 5 years ago, that and it's through experience,
Mm-hmm.
setting those healthy boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you can be a kind person and not allow toxic people in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. This is as you guys can see, this is why I love talking to Barbara, because we don't think of kindness in this manner.
No,
I
we
think
don't.
many of us get kindness and niceness mixed
Yes,
up. So
yes.
we think that we teach our children and those we love to be nice. I would even say polite. Like we teach the
Polite.
pleases
Yes,
and the
yes,
thank
yes.
yous. But
Absolutely.
kindness is an intentional act.
Oh,
And
yes.
it is something that requires mindfulness and
Yes.
awareness
Yes.
and being in tune with who you are,
Or yes.
or aren't for that matter, because it just
Yes.
depends.
Yes.
And understanding the power that you have in your response, because I think a lot
Yes.
of people mistake responses for reactions.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
reaction is something natural that we all do. I mean, we're instinctive people, so we're always
Yes.
reacting. But a
Yes, we're
response
always.
is conscious. And so
Yes,
I think kindness
absolutely.
is a response. And
Yes.
it's a choice that we make. And a lot of people don't realize that we have the power.
Oh, yes, we have the choice.
Yes, the
We have the
choice.
choice.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely. To be
have the choice
kind.
to be kind.
To be kind. Yes.
To be kind for ourselves first.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
cannot be kind to someone else if you have not that kindness for yourself, which is, and I think for women in particular, a hard one.
Yes.
Allowing yourself not to be perfect in that, like
yes,
in that
absolutely.
idea of what is perfect,
What is
like
absolutely
what is told every day, that we have to be this career woman and a perfect mother, and we go to yoga and we bake the cakes and our house is clean, and
absolutely.
and so
Yes.
just allow for ourselves that perfection is an illusion.
Yes.
Because if we go silent, if we go in meditation or in prayer, we can deeply understand that the world in its imperfections is perfect.
Yes.
every day the sun goes up, the planets stay where they are.
Yes.
Like there's an order, a natural order.
Absolutely.
But our small, like
Mhm.
our small human mind wants in all that perfectness. And it's as if you could say the tree and the leaves go everywhere. We
Yes.
as humans would put them in boxes and
Absolutely.
structures. Those are the
Absolutely.
small leaves, the middle leaves, and that would be perfect for us.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
boxed perfection
Yes,
is an
absolutely.
illusion. It just
Excellent.
doesn't exist.
No, I agree.
So, and if we can live from that place, that doesn't mean that I don't want a clean house or that I don't.
Mhm.
It's just more, you could say, living from here, from inside,
Yes.
instead of wanting to run after some kind of image of how things should be
Absolutely.
and then exhaust yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was just coaching a young lady this morning, and that's exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, you have to get to a point where you're okay with where things are. Like it's grace.
Yes.
And a lot of
Yes,
times
yes.
I mean, I wear it every
Absolutely.
day. I wear grace every day because
Yes.
it's not just about God giving us grace, but it's about giving
No.
ourselves grace, giving
Absolutely.
ourselves permission to be flawed, to make
Yes.
mistakes, to be
Mhm.
imperfect, to not have everything in order.
No,
And then
and yet,
when you do that, you can do it for other people.
if you sometimes, like having that divine perspective,
Mhm.
we are perfect in the eyes of God. We are perfect
Absolutely.
as we
Absolutely.
are.
Absolutely.
We don't
Absolutely.
have to be. We don't have to have a title or a
Right.
big house, or we are loved anyway.
Absolutely. And I tell my children this. I say, you are perfect. You don't have
Yes,
to be perfect. And just the
absolutely.
change in that verb
Mhm.
changes the
Mhm.
entire context of
Yes.
perfection, because
Mhm.
being is the act of doing. And that says,
Yes.
if I do something, then I attain. But if I
Mhm.
realize that I am perfect, meaning I was made in God's image, I am exactly who I'm supposed to be, I look
Mhm.
exactly like I'm supposed to look.
Yes.
My goods and my bads are all what they are. And when I
Yes.
realize that, then I give myself the permission to just be. So now
Yes.
I'm not striving for anything in particular.
No.
I'm
No.
working to be the best joy I can be. I'm working
Yes.
to be the best mother I can be, because I no
Mhm.
longer have an image of motherhood
No.
or
No.
and let's be honest, I would never um even amount up to the wife that I have in my head, right? No, I mean, I mean, the
I
level of
know. I know.
perfection that we strive
I
for
know.
is so unattainable. And so we find
And
ourselves,
Joy,
Mhm.
it changes. What was a
Yes,
perfect mother 100 years ago
that's
is
true.
so
That's
different
absolutely
than
true.
so it has changed throughout centuries.
Mhm,
There were
absolutely.
ages where women had to be overweight to be like
Yeah,
very
yeah,
attractive.
absolutely.
Now they have to be super skinny. So it's an illusion. It's something that
Absolutely.
somebody made up and said, like, now
This,
women
yes.
have to
Never, yes,
look like this, and then
yes.
and we, like, we get this information day by day by day, so we
Absolutely.
start to believe it, and everybody starts to believe it, but
Yes.
it's not true. There
No.
is something, and that when you have from the inside that kind of peace within yourself, that acceptance, that connectedness, you
Mhm.
radiate something. And
Yes,
even if you're not a supermodel, you radiate something that makes you even more beautiful than the
absolutely.
supermodel who is disconnected, who's maybe on drugs, who is not
Mhm.
feeling so well, but who
Absolutely.
has plastered and is on the, like, with the right filters. And it's not,
Yes.
like, you can only feel compassion for that girl, but it's about what you radiate from the inside.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think, oh my gosh, there's so much in that, because we're taught as a society, I think, especially over here in the States, to continue to put on airs almost.
Oh,
We
yes.
are taught that
That's
you
everywhere.
have to look a certain way, you have to act a
I
certain
know,
way,
I know,
you
I
can
know, I
only
know.
be successful once you check
Mhm,
these boxes. And so
mhm.
there are people, I believe, that are walking around here who are absolutely almost hollow,
Yes,
because they have
that's
all of the
true.
outside done, but they've not worked any on
None.
the inside. So they've made
Inside.
no investments on the inside, and everything on the outside is temporal. It's going to
Yes.
fade. It's going to
Yes.
drop. It's going to change. So what do you do when who you thought you were, because the external looked really good, starts to chip away, and that
Of
internal
course.
part of you has not been
You know,
cultivated?
you know, we all get, I'm 50 years old now, like we will all get one day a wrinkle here, a gray
Yes.
hair there. And I have to say, I love it. I look at myself every morning in the mirror and I say, Barbara, you are beautiful.
Absolutely.
And it took me years and years to believe it. Because in
Absolutely.
the beginning you say it and you think, oh, come on, what are you saying? But now I can say it from deeply inside. I can say you are beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I love you. And if you're in that place, you are invincible. You are indestructible, because there is nobody outside anymore who can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
sense of beauty. And you are not dependent on someone outside you to validate
to
that.
validate.
You know,
Yes,
like, no,
absolutely.
you're like, okay, that's okay.
Absolutely. Yes. No. And Bridget just said it's sad but it's true. So many people are very
Yes.
hollow on the
Yes.
inside. And I think we've all gone through that phase. I think we've
Yes.
all, it's just a part of evolving and becoming the woman or the man you want to be. It's really that process. So all of us go through the ebb and flows of redefining our beauty, of being positive.
Yes.
And because some of us have experienced negativity, we've heard it, even the thoughts in our head. It's amazing how some things are. It's almost like when we're born into a world that already has such negativity in it, that there are things about ourselves that we may have never heard, but we tell ourselves. So we tell ourselves we're not enough. We tell ourselves we're not beautiful enough. We tell ourselves we can't be accepted. And the more we rehearse those things, we begin to act in that manner. We begin to you can radiate good things or you can radiate not so good things. It's really the choice we make. And I believe that at times we find ourselves, even in our lives, having to go back and recalibrate, because there are times where we say, oh my gosh, I hear these thoughts. I don't know where they're coming from. And it's at that moment that we have to take a break and say, okay, wait.
Yes.
And revisit and remember who we are. Because I think sometimes we forget. We have such selective memory that we forget those things. And Vanessa said, I call those sabotaging thoughts.
Yes, absolutely.
That's exactly what they are.
Yes, that's what they are. And I can see, like my own pitfalls when I go in some overwork, when I have too much work. We have the tendency to fall into some patterns which are default. So one of mine would be to work even more because I think there's so much to be done, and to start like having a passive aggressivity, because I work so hard, and let's say I come home and I see table is still, not cleaned up, and I would get all that victim look at me. I'm working so hard, and then I know now, because you have worked on yourself, and then you take a distance. Whoa, and then I say to myself, we don't go there anymore. We don't go there.
Yes. No, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a question. So Bridget said, how do we recover from the negativity and the words that we've heard in our past? How do we move forward to truly live our dream life?
I think always thinking, what is the alternative? If I stay stuck in the past, if I keep repeating stories from the past, is that going to help me? Is that empowering me? No, it isn't. So the best alternative is to let go. And that can take time. It can take time. And I think most of those things take time. There's no magic formula. There's no, there's no key like that, like you open the door and we're all, no. But the process, it's the learning process, which is so beautiful.
Yes.
Because we all have our challenges. Some are given big challenges, some are given some smaller challenges. But those challenges are given to us as an opportunity for growth. So
Absolutely.
look for the lesson. When I had a cancer, I looked for the lesson.
Absolutely.
5 years ago, I was still running a construction business. We almost went bankrupt through the betrayal of 2 of my employees. So I was looking, although it hurt so much
Yes.
being betrayed by people, I was looking, what's the lesson here? Always look for the lesson. And in the moment, you can deeply feel the pain. You feel
Absolutely.
hurt. When I was diagnosed with cancer, like that first moment, you're like, oh my God, what's happening? This isn't supposed to, I'm
Yes.
33 years old. So in the moment, you feel the pain. And you just go, like you let your emotions, you cry,
Absolutely.
like don't hold back. I have cried seas of tears in my life,
Yes.
seas of
Absolutely.
tears. You
Absolutely.
cry. But then there's a moment that you say, stop. There's a moment, there's a difference between pain and suffering.
Yes.
You have the pain, like you have the pain and you just let emotions, and then the suffering is your choice. You repeat.
Yes.
You repeat the story of hurt. You repeat it again. Oh, look at me. Poor me. I have had cancer with 3 little babies. Poor me. Like instead of repeating that story, look for the good in the situations, even if it's very hard, because it's the best alternative for you.
Yes. And I think that's the natural place that we run.
Yes.
It's easy to be sad. It's easy to be uncomfortable. It's easy to do that because we're back to perfection. No one wants to have any issues in their lives. Let's be honest. We really want to live what we consider this perfect life, right? So we don't want to have any issues. We don't want to have any problems. So the natural response when we're faced with something is to be upset about it because we want to know, why me? How come this can't be happening? This is not the way that I saw my life going. And so we're when we have that moment, it's okay. And I think people have to have, not that we have to give people permission, but to remind people that that's natural and that's okay.
It's natural.
You're not a bad
natural.
person because you don't want to have this happen to you, but you also have to say, but I know there's a bigger purpose.
Yes.
And because I know there's a bigger purpose, I'm going to approach my responses differently. So my reaction is going to be natural. Oh my gosh, why me? Oh God, I just, all of those.
That's the first.
That's the first. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yes.
And I often compare life with the sea, and we are steering our boat. So most people, they want to lay on their boat in the sun and have a calm sea.
Yes, absolutely.
But the sea doesn't care. Like sometimes she's calm and sometimes she's very stormy.
Yes.
Some people hide their entire lives and they're afraid for the storm to come. Other people, but when the storm is there, we have to set ourselves. And the more storms we face, the more skilled captains we become. Absolutely. And we could never, it's that inner growth. How can I develop strength and resilience if I have never had a situation who would build that strength?
Absolutely.
How can I be a compassionate person if I only have those nice people around me?
Good days. Exactly.
I never have an opportunity to really show what it is, have true compassion when it's difficult. That's true compassion when it's difficult. So when you never get those difficult those challenges, you are never invited, you could say, to pull out that strength, to pull out those things that you would never pulled out if if you wouldn't have had that crisis.
I completely agree. It's like in school we all had tests, and I don't think anybody. I mean, people don't like tests, but I think people were okay with tests when they knew they were coming. So when your instructor would say, there'll be a test on Monday, you had time to prepare, you had time to study. So you were pretty confident when you went in that day. But when you had the pop quiz, that was, nobody liked those because those were the moments that we didn't feel we were prepared. And the way life is, you're not going to get the blueprint of of what's going to happen for you. But you
But
have the skills, you have the
absolutely,
experiences
but that's
to
just the
pass the
adventure.
test.
That's
Yes,
just the
yes,
adventure. And I think if in schools or the education system, we would more prepare our children, like mentally and emotionally,
yes, yes, yes,
instead
yes.
of just filling their head with
With
knowledge,
books, absolutely.
just, like teaching them when somebody else, there is a mindful and a kind response to
Yes,
that.
absolutely.
It's possible.
Absolutely,
You
absolutely.
can just step away from that kid, just take a deep breath and think,
Yes,
okay, like just teach them those things.
absolutely,
Teach
absolutely.
them that some people have the most horrible lives, and yet they stay kind and compassionate even with the horrible experiences. And
Absolutely.
one of the reasons that I really want to write this book, that is to give kindness back, to, you could say, reconcile power and kindness, because power has been in the last decades, hundreds of years, in the hands of people who are not balanced.
Mm,
Power was in, you could say, the bullies, the cheats, the self-promoters. Those have always, like, fought themselves through power.
yes, yes.
The I think the strange thing is that it has been applauded.
It absolutely has.
Greed
Absolutely.
has been, like the CEO's greed has been applauded.
Absolutely.
Like self-promoting has been applauded. So,
Absolutely.
but those people are not balanced and connected. So we are to have, I think, for humanity to change in a way that is long term, or
Yes.
survival even, like sustainability. We need leaders who are balanced,
Absolutely.
who have a compassionate side and they have a powerful side.
Hmm?
And really, in reconciling that and having leaders who, because if you are, you could say, if you are only having, let's say, the left brain,
Hmm. Hmm.
analytical, you're a tough person, which is very often very much promoted
Hmm.
in powerful positions, then you are crippled,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
you are not balanced.
I completely agree.
And for a long time, we have had the very nice and kind people, and they stayed far away from power because
That's
they
true.
thought it was ugly. It was not
Hmm.
their world, and they didn't like those cheats and self-promoters. So we have to invite those people back into power,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but in a way that they are very powerful.
Hmm.
And then they can stand up right in their power and face those, and really be a role model. And I think if we can model that for our children,
Hmm.
that is leadership.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And it's really interesting because in leadership, we sometimes forget that we don't lead organizations. We really lead people.
Absolutely.
And when we take that
Absolutely.
mindset out and say,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you may be the CEO or the leader of a company, but the company
Yeah.
is really the building,
The people.
it's the brick and mortar, it's the
People.
people make up the life
I
of an
think
organization.
if you have, as a leader,
Mhm.
if you cannot approach every individual from human to human,
Absolutely.
like look in their eyes, listen with care,
Mhm.
then you're not a leader. If the
No,
care is not there, what are you
absolutely.
doing? You're just
Absolutely.
faking. And I know there's many people in powerful positions also who thought they had to sell their soul
Absolutely.
to be
Where they
part
are.
of that
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
also it's a message to those people, you can let the mask fall down now.
Yes.
It's no
Yes.
longer necessary.
Yeah. And I think some of our leaders, people don't want to acknowledge this, but some of them have been hurt.
Yes.
So
Oh,
because they've been
yes.
hurt,
Oh, yes.
because they're wounded, because they've
Mm-hmm.
been uh, uh, taken advantage of or
Yes,
misguided,
yes,
they've built
yes.
this exterior. And
Mm-hmm.
so who you interact with and interface with every day is not truly who that person is.
No,
But
no.
because of the situation and circumstances, so some
Mhm.
people, yes, they went into it saying this is how I have to be.
Yes,
But some
yes,
people built that wall to
yes.
protect themselves. And so I
Mhm.
think by talking about kindness and powerful kindness and graciousness and
Yes.
forgiveness and
Mhm.
patience and compassion, we give those people permission to start to be okay
Yes,
and to
yes,
heal from the wounds, because
yes.
a person that's wounded is very frightened by any type of exposure or vulnerability or
Yes,
attack.
yes,
So when
yes.
we say to this person, hey, we understand that this is not who you are, and
Mhm.
I'm going to treat you in kindness. Even if you
Yes.
don't give it to me, I'm going
Mhm.
to demonstrate grace. I'm going to demonstrate
Absolutely.
compassion. It begins to break the walls down.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
those leaders that you saw were super tough and would never come around, or you just couldn't understand why they were responding the way they were, you start
Mhm.
to see, oh
Mhm.
my goodness, it
Mhm.
really had nothing to do. And many times we take it personal. You know,
Mhm.
many times if we're interacting with someone who's not kind, we think it's something we've done. And
Yes.
we don't stop to say, it may not have anything to do with me. But if
Mhm.
I continue to act in love, and people don't like to use the word love in the workplace, but if I can act in love, it's an HR
Yes.
thing,
I know.
but
I
in the
know.
compassion, if I continue to act in those ways, it's hard
Mhm.
for darkness and light to be in the same room.
Yes.
So, and usually light will overtake. So as long as
I
I'm continuing to pour into those people
absolutely.
that aren't being kind, it's only a matter of time before they start to show some
Yes,
kindness
yes,
and start
yes,
to
it
change. And
is.
I think that's
It's really,
super
it's
important.
incredible the
Yes,
ripple effect that kindness
absolutely.
has. And many times I have been said, like, Barbara, the world is such a dark place. How,
Hmm.
like, if you're so positive, you're, like, you're not realistic. And I always say the darkness is an invitation to be the light.
Like that. The darkness is the invitation to be the light. I absolutely love that. That is absolutely awesome, because that's exactly what that's what we're
Yes,
called to do.
yes,
That's
yes, that's
exactly what
what we're,
we're called
yes,
to do. Yes.
yes.
I'm putting
Each
that in the chat right now.
yes, each in its own way, each in its own way, we
Absolutely.
can shine our
Absolutely.
light. Whether you love to bake and you want to be, like, you put all your
Yeah.
love and passion in baking. You're a teacher, you put all your love and passion in teaching. You love numbers and
Yes.
you're an accountant, you love all your passion and love in numbers. Doesn't matter.
No.
For some reason, our society started making a hierarchy, like, oh, a baker is here, oh, but an accountant there, and a manager is
Yes.
there.
Yes.
That's just something that we made up. It's something that we
Absolutely.
made up.
Absolutely.
And of course,
Absolutely.
of course, um, we have to, we are living in this reality,
Mhm.
but nothing holds us back to step by step change that reality and
Absolutely.
go to where.
Absolutely.
Because if we
Absolutely.
if we don't do it, who will? I
No,
always
I
say.
I agree. And then what we're doing, and we talk about legacy all the time,
Uh-huh.
and we're leaving a legacy for our children. And if we
Mm-hmm.
don't begin to change, those of
No.
us right now who are aware, we
Mm-hmm.
raise children who don't have this experience,
Yes.
and we don't even know if the conversations will carry if we're not imparting those conversations. So
Mm-hmm.
having those conversations with those that we have in, and that's why I say leadership is about influence and responsibility,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's truly, if I have
Mm-hmm.
influence or responsibility in any capacity, then
Yes.
I have a responsibility to change or to support or whatever it is, to impart these nuggets and
And
this wisdom into someone else.
never before in human history have we been so connected. We take the phone and
Yeah,
we can connect with everybody, which is, like a blessing.
absolutely.
5 years ago, I was a woman in Belgium that nobody heard of.
Hmm.
Now I reach, whether it's through my Facebook page, millions of people, through my, through my LinkedIn, not saying
Yes.
to brag this, just
No, no, no,
saying, like, it's
absolutely.
possible.
It
It's
is. It
possible
absolutely
now.
is. It absolutely is. It
And that's
absolutely
so
is.
beautiful. Like,
Absolutely.
maybe 100 years ago, you and I, we would have been, like, judged for being like
Yes.
some kind of witch.
That's
because we
true.
were not thinking,
Right.
we were not
Yeah.
docile, we were not, like,
Yeah. No,
and they would
absolutely.
burn us. They would say,
Absolutely.
oh my God, those are dangerous. So now we have the freedom of speech. We have the possibility to connect. I'm sitting here at, I don't know how many thousands of miles from you.
Yes.
And we can just put on a screen and we talk.
Absolutely. And isn't it amazing that when you have a heart for certain things, like Barbara and I met, literally, we had a
Yes.
conversation,
Yes.
and this is how the conversation went, everybody, just like this. And
Yes.
we realized that from Houston, Texas to Belgium, we are like-minded. And it's
Yes.
amazing how, if you really want to walk in the
Mm-hmm.
God, by the creator, by whatever you want, if you want to
Yes.
walk in that, the people who are aligned with you will come. So you
Yes.
don't have to feel isolated, because the truth of the
No.
matter is many of us don't ever take these steps because we feel like we're alone. We feel isolated. And
Absolutely.
that's where,
Absolutely.
if we feel
And I
that, we
think
can't go.
those, for the first steps, you have to be
Mhm.
courageous.
Yes, yes, yes,
Because
yes.
like the first Facebook Live that I did 5
Mhm.
or 6 years ago, some people in my environment reacted very negatively. They
Oh,
were
wow.
like, oh my God, she's going crazy. What is she talking about? Personal
Mhm.
growth? Oh my God. Even there were people who thought I joined a cult.
Oh my goodness.
Because
Yes.
because I was stepping out as being more transformational
Uh-huh.
about, like coaching, and I came from construction, so you can
Mhm.
see there's quite a difference. And you have to be willing to leave that comfortable circle.
Yes,
You
yes,
have to
yes,
be
yes, yes,
willing.
yes.
And it does, especially in the beginning,
Mhm.
it's like the first tiptoeing in the cold water,
Yes.
and you're, ooh, are you
Yeah.
going to do, ooh, and you get one bad review or a bad reaction, you're like, ooh.
Yes. Yes.
But then it's hugely important to have a few people in your surroundings who
Yes.
support you unconditionally.
Absolutely.
And then,
Absolutely.
like, it's like with the plane getting off. In the beginning, there's lots of resistance.
Mhm.
But once you are, then you fly.
Yes, that is so awesome. That's so good for me. I just did a Facebook Live this morning talking about my swimming, and I am learning to swim, and
Uh-huh.
I've been doing really well in about 4 foot water, 4.5 foot water.
Mm-hmm.
Last
Mm-hmm.
night, my instructor put me in 5'3" water. I'm only
Okay.
5'2".
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I could not touch the bottom of the
Mm-hmm.
pool gave me panic.
Oh,
And what I realized was, and I'm applying this now even to what I'm doing in the business, is there comes a time when you have to get out of your comfort zone. There comes a
yes.
time
Yes. Yes.
when you've done as much as you can
Absolutely.
do in the 4 foot water. And so
Yes.
that's what I had to tell myself was, okay, Joy, you've got to now start to use the skills you learned in the 4 foot,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because the only thing that's changed is the depth. The
Yes.
skills haven't changed, the ability
No.
hasn't changed. And so that was powerful for me, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a point even in my business where I'm taking those steps and I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
to myself, okay, Joy, you got to do it bigger. You got to do more. You can't stay in your box. And that's not something that that we're taught to do. We're taught,
Mm-hmm.
when you get comfortable, like,
Yes.
to stay there. We're
To
taught,
stay
like
there.
that plane, when it
Absolutely.
takes off, it gets to a certain, and it cruises.
Yes.
We like
Yes.
cruise control. We don't
Yes.
ever
Yes.
want to
Yes.
get
Yes.
back
Yes. Yes.
to the
Yes.
space where
Yes.
we have to
Yes.
go back and
Yes.
descend or ascend again.
Absolutely.
And that's something that people, I think, we always have to remember, is that we
Mm-hmm.
should always continue to grow.
Continue to grow, and in
Yeah.
that growth, some people will stay behind. And
Yes.
sometimes that hurts. And I think that's something that we really have to be aware of. It's just
Yes.
part of it.
It's part of it.
And some
Absolutely.
people refuse to grow.
Yeah.
So when you step up, whether they step up with you or they stay behind, and it's, yes, that's beautiful. The skill
Yes.
hasn't changed.
Well,
I love
and I'm
that.
telling you, it just happened because I didn't, so I realized, because I've always tried to figure out why I can't swim.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was, it wasn't the fact that I couldn't swim. I never wanted to get in the deep water.
Mm-hmm.
That was it for me.
Yes.
So that changed everything for me,
Mm-hmm.
because now I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm launching into the deep. So I like this morning on my Facebook Live. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm launching into the deep. I want people to launch into the deep with me. We'll walk together. We'll figure it out, because that's where true growth is when you're out of your comfort zone and you're successful. Because whatever you're doing, wherever you are, God didn't intend to bring you to that space so that you fail. And many times we forget that. We forget
and if
that
we
we're
look in
here.
if we look in nature, you know, like if you look a flower, we're all born to grow and to blossom. That's why we're here. We have our gifts and we are born to grow and to blossom. But the rose isn't thinking, oh my God, I wish I were a tulip. Oh my God, what if that leaf falls now? And you know,
that's true.
It just grows naturally. We as human, we have made this human existence a problem.
Yeah,
no, like
it's so complicated.
Complex. It's complicated, but in fact, no. It's life is not a problem. Life is not some ladder to be climbed. I think I see it more as a dance to be enjoyed, and we have to learn to dance and in the flow and dance, and just enjoy the dance. And in that dance, and it's about growing and blossoming.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Life is a dance.
It's a dance.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. And then to say that life is not a ladder to be climbed, that's true, because we have tick marks, and we're all there's a place we're trying to get, and we're climbing to get there. And we don't value or define success until we arrive in that space. And that's the unfortunate part, because we miss the experience.
We miss the experience, and then we arrive there. And we see, whoa, there's like now we're here.
Yeah,
it's always we should embrace whatever blooms we are.
Bloom where you are planted. Yes,
Absolutely.
Embrace whatever blooms we are. I think that is so beautiful.
So many people have like climbed that ladder, and they end even as a millionaire, and then they end up really unhappy. Because their why they wanted to was born from some kind of frustration, wound, complex, and that is not healed. No. So whether you are bankrupt or a millionaire, if you are full of wounds, it doesn't matter. It's about the healing first. It's about who you are as a human being. So once you, as a human being, you grow and you expand, your abundance is natural.
Absolutely.
And the strange thing is, the more you grow and you have that and you radiate that abundance and you give naturally, the more it comes back. Absolutely. The more people want to work with you, because you have something that, like they say, whoa, and it's just in who you are. So it's always about the becoming of who you are. It's not about achieving some outside result. And it's beautiful if that we can have dreams, and we can have, like, I want to buy that car or that car, as long as it doesn't identify you. As the car is not filling some need of appreciation, of some lack, like of self-worth. So as long as that, I have a very beautiful car. I adore it. But I know how life is. I have had times with beautiful cars, and I have had times with cheap cars, and then beautiful cars again. So that's life.
Yes, absolutely.
Once we can just enjoy the drive. So these times of my life, I'm driving the beautiful car, but we do not know what life can throw at us. So having that detachment makes you very powerful.
Yes.
It's in the attachment that we become dependent, and we give away our power. We give the power, whether it's to a life partner, whether it's to a car, whether it's to a title or a house, we give away our power.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So what do you say, Barbara, to someone who feels like they're losing their power? What do you say to them?
Well, I would first listen and hear in which situations they feel powerless.
Okay.
So whether let's say they're working with a boss who is very negative, and they never get appreciation, and they feel like it even makes them anxious and nervous because that person is always looking for, like, even if it's 99% correct, it's that 1%. So it's about how much what that person is saying, like we said before, are you taking personally? So that's a reflection. Apparently, your boss has not a lot of emotional intelligence and does not know how to motivate someone. Otherwise, he would not behave like that. Maybe he never had a role model.
Yes.
Like who modeled for him how to behave in a powerful position. So then you have the choice. First of all, how deep, how close will you get it into you? But can you leave it outside you? How frequent is it? Is it someone who does it once in a while? Is it very frequent? Then it's your choice. Do I stay here in this toxic place? Or will I change? Because it's toxic every single day, you should not allow that in your life.
Absolutely.
Disrespectful behavior, do not allow that. If it's once in a while that the other person is overstressed and had an impulsive reaction, you can address that to the person.
Absolutely.
Once that person calmed down and you're like, calm down, you can address that and say, look, listen, I didn't appreciate that behavior. Can we talk about it? If it's continuous, that person absolutely has a problem. So it's up to you then. You have the choice.
Absolutely.
Will I stay in the toxicity or not? And it doesn't make you a bad person. Like we said, you can stay a kind person and take distance from toxic people.
Absolutely.
You don't owe them anything.
Absolutely. Barbara, that is awesome. Thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation. Tell people how they can reach you and how they can contact you.
I think the easiest thing is through LinkedIn. Just look up my name, Barbara Vercruysse, send me a message or a connection request, and I think that's the easiest thing to connect with me.
Awesome. And let me tell you guys, she will respond. This is how we met on LinkedIn.
Yes, I respond
on LinkedIn.
All the messages.
I reached out. I was looking for people with like minds and like spirits, and literally I was led to her. And within about a week or so, we were having a conversation, and it's carried on through the end of last year, through a pandemic, into to now. And so I am so absolutely blessed, Barbara, to know you and to have had you here today on the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm sure people are going to ask for you back. So I want you to be a friend of the Leadership Lunch Break. And I thank you so very much for just coming today and for stopping by. I know it's late there. So thank you also for doing this live, because there is a 7-hour time difference, I believe.
Yes, it's 7:48 now.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so very much. Thank you to everyone who participated in the Leadership Lunch Break. You know that you have access to it after this. You can go to the Speaking of Joy YouTube channel. It will be on all Speaking of Joy platforms. It actually be shared on Barbara's page as well. So you have access to this. I invite you to watch it again, to share with other people, and to find ways to continue to lead with powerful kindness. Until we meet again, have a great one.
Okay.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.